I won't say that it's a disadvantage for people who don't have a finance or a commerce background, because I mean, even if I'm an engineer, I have my analytical skills. The area where I'm lacking is,
Thank you, Darshil, for being a part of this show.
thank you, Nikhil, for having me on the show, and it's a pleasure to connect with you.
So, Darshil, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, Nikhil. So, my journey with finance started with when I pursued my MBA in finance. And because of my interest towards this field, I also decided to pursue the CFA curriculum. And it was a very good learning experience for me. I cleared all the three levels in three consecutive attempts, and post which then I started working with CRISIL, which is a credit rating agency in India. And currently I'm working with Value 3 Advisory, which is also into the risk management space. And the focus here is more on kind of, it's a fintech kind of a thing. So it's a good mix of finance and tech together.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about the CFA exam? Why should someone actually give this examination?
To start with, CFA is a certified exam, which is certified course, which is given by a university or an institute in the United States. It's very well recognized globally. From a knowledge perspective, it touches upon a lot of subjects from finance, and it basically opens up a lot of doors for you if even if you've cleared level 2. So even you don't need to wait for clearing level 3. If you've cleared level 2, you still kind of considered qualified enough to get a good to start off your journey in finance. There are three levels to this exam: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Each level has the same set of subjects. It's just the depth of the course which increases as we progress from level 1 to level 3. The subjects remain the same, but the shift from a few subjects as we progress from level 1 to level 3, as you understand, level 3 kind of prepares you to become a portfolio manager, and the focus towards level 3 is more on wealth management and portfolio management. Whereas in level 2, it's a good mix of quantitative techniques, investment tools, and all your asset classes together. Whereas level 1 is kind of focused towards financial reporting, analysis, and ethics. So ethics is kind of standard throughout all the three levels, and it carries a good weight because, given the stature of the institute, they expect individuals to kind of be perform their services ethically.
And once you clear all three levels of CFA, what are the various career opportunities which are available?
Because the course is quite vast and it is diverse in nature. It's not specifically catered to a field in finance. So a lot of doors open up to you in corporate finance, in investment banking, in core research on the buy side, sell side, on the credit side. You basically you name it, and after clearing level 2, a lot of doors open up to you. So it's, I mean, it's a very good starting point. And if you kind of mention in our CV that you are appearing for CFA level 3, then it basically acts as a filter, which a lot of these companies have uh, as they shortlist CVs while the interview process.
Now, once you decide that you want to appear for the CFA examination, what are the basic qualifications you must have, and what are the timelines for this examination?
Educational kind of requirement to register for level 1, you need to be in the final year of a graduation. So if I'm pursuing engineering, I need to be in the final year of my engineering to register for level 1. Apart from that, there's no other kind of a requirement in terms of education background. But just from a knowledge perspective, it is always good to have some kind of accounting background because it lays the foundation for the course, and a good accounting knowledge will help you kind of understand the subject which we have to learn in CFA to a better level. As far as the fee structure goes, so they have three windows in which you can register for the exam. So the level 1 exam happens twice a year in June and in December, whereas level 2 and level 3 happen only once a year in June. that schedule has slightly changed for this year, but historically it's been this format. So, like I said, there are three windows for registration. So, if I'm registering for a June attempt, the first window closes by mid October approximately, and the fees for this window is $700 for each level. So $700 for level 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Whereas when you register for level 1, there's a separate one-time fee. They call it as the registration fee, which is $450. So if I'm registering for level 1, the lowest fee, if you register in the first window, the early bird window, is $1150, and that kind of increases as the time progresses. So if you register in the second window, the fees will be higher, and in the third window, it will be even higher. And if suppose, unfortunately, you don't clear in your first attempt, then you have to, if you want to register again for say any particular level, then you have to pay that fee of $700 again.
Can you briefly take us through what are the various subjects which are actually there in the CFA examination?
Right. So if we try to differentiate these subjects into investment tools and asset classes. First of all, so under asset classes we have equities, we have derivatives, we have alternative investments, and we have fixed income. So these are the four major asset classes in the finance industry, and there's a subject for each of these asset classes. If I talk about investment tools, we talk about things like quantitative techniques, economics, uh, corporate finance, and financial reporting and analysis, which is at the core of all of this. Apart from this, like I pointed out earlier, we have ethical standards, so which kind of tells you more about your the standards relevant in the industry, and if you want to be a part of this elite group of professionals, what is the level of standard and professional services that you have to carry out. And last but not the least, the last is portfolio management. So you bring all of this together and then you help an individual plan their finances, plan their investments.
Now, what do you think is the ideal time that is required to prepare for the CFA exam?
If we are to consider the time which takes for any individual to complete this course, it obviously depends from individual to individual given your background and the grasping power which you have. But on an average, for level 1, it takes slightly lesser time, for around 300 hours. Level 2, because the portion is very huge, and so level 2 for me was the toughest when I gave my exam, because the portion is so vast that and there are 10 subjects. So by the time you're done with your 10 subjects, the 10th subject, you kind of almost faintly remember what you've done in the first subject. So that for me is the most difficult part for level 2. So it takes slightly more time, say around 350 or 350 to 400 hours. And level 3, this exam is slightly different. It's not just an MCQ based exam as in level 1 and level 2. Here we have constructive responses, so wherein you're given a question without any options, and you're supposed to construct your own answer. So this again is a slightly different ball game. So depending on your kind of how comfortable you are with constructing responses, it will require an additional amount of time. But again, in the range of 350 to 400 hours.
Now, consider a case where a person gave the level 1 examination in December. Would you recommend the person should be giving the level 2 by June?
It depends ideally. Now, if you're confident that you'll clear level 1 and you start preparing for level 2, say in January or February, and you can manage it along with your work schedule, then it is okay to go ahead. But if you're still waiting for your results from level 1, which take around 45 days after the exam, and if you start preparing after that, then it will get slightly trickier because, like I said, level 2 is slightly vast and it will take more time to prepare. So I've seen a lot of people postponing that attempt to June next year. But I mean, if you are not working and if you're a student and if you have more time to dedicate, then you can go ahead with the June attempt as well.
Now, considering that you came from an engineering background, was there a big disadvantage in terms of learning and clearing CFA exams?
I won't say that it's a disadvantage for people who don't have a finance or a commerce background, because I mean, even if I'm an engineer, I have my analytical skills. The area where I'm lacking is a bit of background from accounting, which is kind of a basic requirement for you to kind of proceed with this course. So since I was pursuing my MBA, when I gave my level one attempt, I was thorough with the accounting concepts. So that keeping that in mind, if you are kind of thorough with your accounting concepts, then it shouldn't act as any barrier to giving any of these levels.
In terms of study materials, what would you recommend one should use to prepare for CFA exams?
When you register for the exam, uh, there are PDFs of the curriculum which the institute provides you. These are very elaborative, very well explained, and very informative in nature. The only problem we face with these set of materials is that uh, they are very kind of detailed. So you might not get the time to go through all of these subjects if you are referring to only curriculum books. So to kind of overcome this drawback of the time constraint, we have a publication called Kaplan Schweitzer, which provides you with a good summary of all these chapters in every subject in a very good way, and kind of they're self-sufficient in nature for you to clear all the levels. Uh, just as an add-on, if you feel at any point in time that the information in for a particular subject or for a particular chapter in a subject quite uh, is not well explained in Shweta, then only for that particular chapter you can go back and refer to our curriculum books. So that's a practice which I follow, and that has helped me because Schwezer in itself is quite sufficient for you to clear all the exams.
Do you recommend external coaching for CFA exams?
This is again, I mean, quite subjective in nature. The curriculum and the material is designed in a way that even if you don't take external coaching, you can still comfortably kind of clear all the levels. But because the exam is so conceptual in nature, uh, what I would say is that at least for level one, for people who don't have a background in finance, if you opt for some kind of external coaching in level one, that kind of will lay a strong foundation for you in the level two and level three to then kind of do level two and three on your own because the subjects remain the same, just the difficulty and the depth of each of them changes, kind of increases with each level. So if you're clear with your basics and if you opt for say some kind of external coaching in level one, that is something which I would recommend. But again, it's not a mandate. If you feel confident enough that you'll be able to kind of grasp all the concepts on your own, you can go ahead with self-learning as well.
Now, what are your personal thoughts on MBA and CA as compared to CFA?
These three kind of cater to very different aspects. So, like an MBA, it provides you with a lot of other things than finance. So, it touches on the softer aspects of your communications, of how to behave, how the organization runs, etc., etc., along with the knowledge in finance. So, which you won't get in a CA or a CFA. Whereas CA touches upon things like tax, audit planning, etc., which none of these other two courses prepare you for. So each of these courses have their own niche, but I would recommend a combination of two will form a very good foundation for your career. So if you have a mix of two, then it definitely provides you some boost.
And finally, what would your advice be for anyone who's preparing for CFA exams?
So there is a particular framework which I followed while preparing for these exams. How I used to do it is, if I study one chapter, I used to make sure that I go back and solve questions after each chapter. So even in Schwezer and in the curriculum books, you have questions related to each chapter. So what this does is it kind of helps you relate to the concepts better. It ensures that you're not just mugging up but understanding all of these concepts. And this is where the true learning kind of happens. So once you kind of read one chapter, make sure you go back and solve questions for each of them. So this kind of enables you to understand the concepts better. So this is an exam where mugging will not help, because it's, so if you've mugged up anything, imagine doing that for 10 subjects, and by the time you reach your 10th subject, you've most probably forgot what you've done in the first one if you've just mugged it up. So understanding concepts become very important here. And this exam is also kind of application based. It is not an exam where you can just go mug up and clear that exam. It will not work out that way. So the process which I'm advising right now is something which will enable that. And this is something which a consistent approach, if you follow while preparing for the exams, it will help you. So it is not an exam where you just wake up a month before the exam and to decide that now I'll study all of these 10 subjects and clear the exam. That won't happen. So give sufficient time, study on a regular basis. Even if you're working, try to manage studying on weekends. And how I used to pace my studies is that I should try completing at least two readings 15 days before the attempt. So what this does is, I'm done with two readings and now I have time to solve papers. So in the institute and the Schwezer publications, both of these have question papers which you can solve. And so the exam is a lot about time management as well, because it's a time bound exam. So when you do this, the one thing which it does is that when you're giving the first few papers, you're kind of gathering all the information which you've learned in the 10 subjects in one go. So this doesn't happen even in your revisions, because you are studying one subject and you are solving questions for that one subject. Getting all of these 10 subjects together in one go is where the catch lies. And that happens only when you do it at least two or three times before you give the exam. So the CFA mock papers which they give out are kind of quite good, and they've helped me quite well in preparing for the exam. It helps me manage my time during the exam better. It helps me realize what my strengths are in terms of knowledge, and that helps me kind of approach the exam in a better way.